Tonight's episode includes a Manta Sleep affiliate link, which helps support the show at no extra cost to you. If you've ever tried sleeping with a regular sleep mask and found that light still gets in around the edges, or the mask presses against your eyes and just feels uncomfortable, Manta Sleep takes a different approach. Their masks are designed to give you a true blackout experience while keeping pressure off your eyes, so you can actually relax and forget you're wearing one. They also have several different versions depending on how you sleep, and one of the coolest is their Bluetooth audio sleep mask. It combines the blackout mask with built-in audio so you can listen to music, white noise, or even your favorite sleep stories without having earbuds in your ears all night. And for a podcast like this, that combination just makes sense. Block out the light, put on a story, and let everything else disappear for a while. If you're looking to upgrade your nighttime routine, check out Manta Sleep and find the mask that works best for you. You can find a direct link to them in the description of each episode. They also ship worldwide. Thanks for supporting the show. Now, let's get started.
Welcome to Deep Sleep Stories, where the day can soften, the world can grow quiet, and the mind may rest inside a gentle tale. Tonight you are invited into a rainy Spanish courtyard where warm stone, silver rain, sleepy orange trees, and the hush of afternoon naps create a small, peaceful world of shelter and dreams. Let your body settle now. Feel the place beneath you, supporting you completely, asking nothing. Let your shoulders loosen as though they are no longer holding the weight of the day. Let your jaw soften. Let your hands rest in whatever way feels natural and easy. Take a slow breath in, cool and calm, and let it out, unhurried. Again, breathe in as if you are drawing in the scent of rain on old stone, of damp earth, of citrus leaves shining in a courtyard after the sky has opened. Then breathe out as if every thought, every task, every little worry can drift away like water, slipping along the edges of a terracotta tile. There is nowhere else to be, nothing to solve, nothing to remember, only a story waiting quietly like a doorway left open to a peaceful afternoon. And as the rain begins to fall, softly at first, then in a steady, soothing rhythm, the story turns from you gently and finds another traveler far away in a quiet Spanish town where the streets are narrow, the walls are whitewashed, and every window seems to hold a little flower pot of red geraniums. The traveler had arrived in the town just after morning, when the air was still warm from yesterday's sun and the clouds had not yet gathered themselves into rain. She came by a small bus that wound slowly through hills silvered with olive trees, past low stone walls and fields where grasses bowed in the breeze. The road curved and rose, dipped and turned, until at last it entered a town of pale buildings, iron balconies, tiled roofs, and church bells that rang so gently they seemed to belong more to memory than to time. She carried very little: a linen bag, a folded shawl, a small notebook she had not opened in days. She'd been traveling for a while, moving from place to place with no great urgency, following the quiet wish to see old streets, taste simple bread, and listen to the evenings of towns she did not yet know. But by the time she reached this town, she felt tired in a sweet and harmless way. The sort of tiredness that comes not from hardship, but from many mornings of waking early and many afternoons of walking farther than planned. The town was called Valle de Lluvia by some, though on maps it had a longer, older name. It sat in a shallow valley where the mountains gathered clouds from the sea. In spring and autumn, rain came often, touching the rooftops, polishing the stones, filling the fountains, and drawing the scent from every garden wall. People there did not rush from the rain as if it were an interruption. They received it as they received an old neighbor, with open shutters, lowered voices, and a little extra time. The traveler followed a lane paved with smooth stones toward the house where she would stay. The house was built around a courtyard, as many homes in the town were. From the street it looked modest, a white wall with a blue door and a brass knocker shaped like a hand. But when an elderly woman named Marisol opened the door and welcomed her inside, the traveler saw that the house held a hidden world. Beyond the entry hall, the courtyard opened to the sky. It was square and peaceful, enclosed on all sides by soft white walls and shaded by balconies with dark wooden beams. Along the lower walls stood large earthen pots, some glazed green, some plain and rough, filled with ferns, rosemary, lavender, and small trees. In the center, a shallow fountain rested in a basin of patterned tiles, its water turning over and over with a quiet murmur. An orange tree leaned slightly toward the fountain, its leaves glossy and deep green, its small fruits glowing like lanterns among the branches. The floor was a patchwork of terracotta tiles and rounded river stones. Time had softened everything. The tiles were worn where many feet had passed. The edges of the steps were curved from years of sweeping. Even the walls seemed gentle, holding sunlight in the morning and coolness in the afternoon. Marisol showed the traveler a room at the far side of the courtyard. It had a wooden bed, a little writing table, a wash basin painted with blue vines, and shutters that opened directly onto the inner garden. The room smelled faintly of beeswax, soap, linen dried in the air, and the distant green scent of the orange tree. "You will sleep well here," Marisol said, and her voice carried the confidence of someone who had watched many visitors arrive tired and leave restored. The traveler smiled, though she did not yet know how true those words would be. By late morning, the clouds had settled over the valley. They were not dark in a threatening way, but soft and low, like gray wool drawn gently across the sky. The light in the courtyard became pearly. Shadows dissolved. The orange leaves seemed brighter. A swallow crossed the open square of sky once, then disappeared beneath the eaves. The traveler unpacked slowly, placing her folded clothes in a wooden chest and her notebook on the table. She washed her hands and face in cool water, then opened the shutters. The first drop of rain fell into the fountain with a sound so small it might have been imagined. Then came another, then another. Soon the courtyard was listening to rain. It fell straight down into the open space, beating on leaves, darkening the terracotta, touching the fountain so that circles widened across the water. Under the balconies, the stone remained dry, and the traveler stood there in the shelter, watching the center of the courtyard receive the weather. From somewhere inside the house came the smell of soup, garlic softened in olive oil, chickpeas, a little saffron perhaps, bread warming near the stove. Marisol moved quietly from kitchen to pantry, pantry to table, humming under her breath, her slippers making a faint whisper against the floor. At midday, they ate together at a small wooden table beneath the covered walkway. The rain made a curtain around the open center of the courtyard, but the air was not cold. It was fresh and tender, carrying the scent of wet stone and herbs. Marisol served bowls of golden soup, slices of bread, olives in a blue dish, and a little cheese wrapped in waxed paper. They did not speak much because the rain seemed to be speaking enough. Marisol told the traveler that the courtyard had belonged to her grandmother and to her grandmother's mother before that. Children had played there. Weddings had been prepared there. Sheets had been hung there, white and bright beneath the sun. In summer, the family slept outside on mats beneath the stars. In winter, rain sang into the fountain and everyone stayed close to the kitchen. And on rainy afternoons, Marisol said, breaking a piece of bread, everyone naps. She said this not as advice, but as a fact as natural as sunset. After the meal, the house grew still. Marisol carried the dishes away, washed them, and stacked them carefully. The traveler offered to help, but the older woman only smiled and placed a clean towel in her hands. "Dry your hands," she said, "then rest." By then the rain had deepened. It no longer tapped lightly, but murmured everywhere at once. It ran from the roof tiles into narrow channels. It dripped from the balcony railings. It gathered along the leaves of the orange tree until each leaf bent, released a shining drop, and lifted again. The fountain received all this with patient contentment. Water into water, sound into sound. The traveler felt the meal warming her from within. Her eyelids grew heavy. The world had narrowed sweetly to the courtyard, the rain, the scent of orange leaves, and the hush that follows food, shared in kindness. At one side of the courtyard, beneath a deep arch, stood a low wooden daybed piled with cushions. The cushions were covered in faded fabrics the color of cream, clay, moss, and old rose. A woven blanket lay folded at one end. Marisol had already set a small pillow there, as if the nap had been waiting for the traveler since morning. The traveler crossed the tiles beneath the sheltered edge of the courtyard. Her footsteps were slow. The rain had cooled the air, and the daybed seemed to hold the warmth of the house. She sat first, then drew her feet up, then stretched out with the blanket across her legs. The pillow smelled faintly of lavender. From where she lay, she could see the rain falling into the courtyard, the orange tree shimmering, the fountain trembling with little circles. Above, the square of sky was pale and silvery. Along the balcony, drops formed and fell at different intervals, making their own quiet music. Somewhere nearby, a clock ticked. but so slowly and gently that time itself seemed to be growing drowsy. The traveler closed her eyes. At first, thoughts moved through her mind in small, harmless fragments. The bus climbing through the hills, the blue door, the soup, the sound of Marisol's humming, the way the rain made the white walls glow. Then the thoughts began to loosen. They no longer asked to be followed. They drifted like leaves in a fountain, circling once, then slipping from sight. The courtyard breathed around her. Rain in the center, stillness at the edges. The traveler slept. In her sleep, she dreamed that the courtyard was much larger than it seemed. The orange tree grew tall, its branches reaching up through the open roof into a sky filled with slow-moving clouds. Each orange glowed softly, not like fire, but like lamplight seen through paper. The fountain widened into a quiet pool, tiled in blue and green, and the rain fell into it without disturbing its surface. A white cat appeared at the edge of the pool. It was small, with soft paws and eyes the color of wet leaves. It walked around the fountain without a sound, then sat beneath the orange tree and looked at the sleeping traveler as if it had always known her. In the dream, the traveler did not move. She simply rested there, and the cat blinked slowly. The rain passed through its fur without making it wet. Around its neck hung a ribbon the color of dusk. From the far side of the courtyard, a door opened. It had not been there before. Beyond it lay another courtyard, and beyond that another, and beyond that still another, each one quieter and softer than the last. In one courtyard, jasmine climbed the walls and released its fragrance into the rain. In another, blue tiles reflected the gray sky. In another, a row of clay pots held basil and mint, and the rain made every leaf shine. The cat rose and walked through the first door. The traveler, still dreaming, followed without standing. She seemed to move the way a cloud moves, without effort, carried by calm. In the second courtyard, a woman sat weaving under an archway. Her hair was silver, her hands steady, and her loom made almost no sound. Threads passed over and under, making a cloth that seemed to contain the colors of rainy afternoons, pearl gray, moss green, deep brown, pale orange, and the blue of distant hills. The woman did not look up, but she spoke in a voice like warm tea. Every house has a place where the world becomes gentle, she said. Every heart has one too. The traveler listened, and the words fell into her dream, as softly as rain. The cat continued on. In the third courtyard, there were no walls at all, only rows of arches opening onto a garden of olive trees. Rain silvered the narrow leaves, and the earth smelled rich and dark. A stone bench waited beneath a fig tree. On the bench lay a folded shawl, much like the traveler's own, except it seemed woven from mist. She sat there for a while in the dream, though sitting and floating felt the same. A bird sang once, then tucked its head beneath its wing. In the distance, bells rang from a village that could not be seen. Their sound crossed the wet garden slowly, softening as it came, until it was less like ringing and more like a memory of ringing. The traveler felt something inside her unclench. It was not a grand realization. It was only a small release, like a knot in thread becoming smooth under patient fingers. She had not known she was holding herself so tightly. She had not known how much of the world she'd been carrying in her chest. But in the dream garden among the rain-dim olive trees, there was nothing to carry. The cat leapt lightly from the bench to the path and led her onward. Courtyard after courtyard opened in silence. Some were bright with tiles. Some were shadowed by vines. Some held fountains, and some held only bowls placed to catch the rain. In one, a child's wooden horse rested beneath a chair, forgotten but loved. In another, a table was set with 2 cups and a plate of almond cakes, though no one came to eat them. In another, a single candle burned beneath the rain and never went out. The traveler understood, as one understands things in dreams, that these courtyards belonged to all the naps ever taken in the house. Every afternoon rest had left behind a room of peace. Every sigh, every softened breath, every grandmother rocking a baby, every child asleep with a book open on their chest, every traveler restored by rain had made a small courtyard in the hidden house of dreaming. And there were many. The rain joined them all. It fell through years and roofs and branches. It tapped on tiles that no longer existed. It filled fountains whose stones had been replaced long ago. It washed the dust from remembered summers. It cooled the threshold between waking and sleep. The traveler followed the cat until they reached the quietest courtyard of all. This one was small, no larger than a room. Its walls were lime-washed and bare, except for one blue tile set into the far wall. The tile showed a painted boat beneath a crescent moon. In the center of the floor lay a mat woven from rushes. Beside it stood a little wooden stool with a cup of water and a sprig of rosemary. The cat curled upon the mat and closed its eyes. The traveler lay down beside it. There was no need to ask why. Here the rain was very soft. It did not fall heavily or lightly. It simply existed, a veil of sound, a silver hush. The air smelled of rosemary and wet lime plaster. The blue tile gleamed faintly. The painted boat seemed almost to move, rocking on a painted sea beneath a painted moon. The traveler slept inside the dream, and in that deeper sleep she dreamed of nothing at all. No images, no words, only rest. Outside the dream, in the true courtyard, the afternoon lengthened. The rain continued, steady and kind. Marisol passed once beneath the archway and saw the traveler asleep on the daybed. She moved more quietly after that, though she had already been moving quietly. She placed another small log in the kitchen stove. She covered the remaining soup. She opened a window just enough to let the rain smell enter the back room. The white cat from the neighborhood, not quite the same as the dream cat, but close enough to make a person wonder, slipped through a gap beneath the blue door. It paused in the entry hall, shook one paw delicately, and crossed into the courtyard. It did not step into the rain. It followed the dry edge beneath the arches until it reached the daybed. Then, with the confidence of a creature who believes all warm places are partly made for cats, it jumped lightly onto the foot of the blanket and settled there. The traveler did not wake. The cat tucked its paws beneath its chest and watched the rain. For a long time, the only movements were the falling drops, the breathing traveler, the slow blink of the cat, and the faint tremble of orange leaves. In another room, Marisol sat in a chair by the kitchen and closed her eyes as well. Her hands rested in her lap. The house, sensing everyone at rest, became even quieter. The wooden beams held their old silence. The walls kept the coolness. The fountain continued its endless, gentle conversation with the rain. Afternoon rain has a way of making the world feel held. It softens the edges of distant noises. A cart passing in the street becomes only a muffled turning of wheels. Voices under umbrellas become murmurs. A door closing somewhere down the lane becomes a wooden sigh. Even the bells, when they ring, arrive wrapped in cloud. And so the town slept a little. A baker leaned back in a chair behind his counter. A child curled beneath a quilt with one sock half off. An old man in a brown sweater dozed beside a radio that had been turned very low. A woman who had meant only to rest her eyes beneath the awning of her flower shop drifted into a dream of walking along the coast. All through the town, shutters were drawn partly closed, cups were left half full, and rain combed softly through the afternoon. The traveler slept through it all. When she began to wake, she did so without urgency. First she heard the rain again, not as part of the dream, but as the room around her. Then she felt the weight of the blanket, then the small warmth at her feet, where the cat had become a soft, breathing bundle. Her eyes opened slowly. The courtyard was darker now, though not yet evening. The sky above was a deeper gray, and the tiles in the center shone with water. The fountain brimmed nearly to its edge. Orange leaves trembled under the last of the steady rain. A faint coolness touched her cheeks. She did not move for a while. There was a rare sweetness in waking from an afternoon nap when rain is still falling. The mind returns softly without alarm. The body feels both heavy and new. The room seems familiar and mysterious at once, as if sleep has polished it while one was away. The traveler watched a drop gather at the tip of an orange leaf. It swelled, held itself, then fell into a little puddle on the tile below. Another formed in its place. This simple happening seemed enough to fill the whole world. The cat noticed she was awake and opened one eye. "Hello?" the traveler whispered. The cat closed its eye again, accepting the greeting without ceremony. After a time, Marisol came from the kitchen carrying a tray. On it were 2 small cups of thick hot chocolate and a plate of crisp pastries dusted with sugar. She set the tray on a low table near the daybed. "You found the proper sleep," she said. The traveler smiled. Her voice, when she answered, was soft from rest. "I think the house found it for me." Marisol nodded, as though this was possible. They drank the chocolate while the rain began to ease. It thinned from steady music to scattered notes. The open square of sky brightened at one edge, and a little pale gold entered the courtyard. It touched the white walls first, then the wet leaves, then the rim of the fountain. The whole courtyard seemed to exhale. From the street came the sound of someone laughing beneath an umbrella. A dog barked once, not urgently, but as if making a small announcement to the evening. Somewhere a door opened, and the smell of frying peppers drifted faintly through the rain-washed air. The traveler ate a pastry, letting flakes fall onto the plate. The chocolate warmed her hands. The cat rose, stretched with great seriousness, and stepped down from the daybed. It walked to the edge of the rain-dark tiles, sniffed the air, and slipped away toward the entry hall, perhaps returning to whatever secret place cats go after appearing exactly when they are needed. The courtyard had changed after the nap, though nothing had been moved. The same fountain murmured. The same orange tree stood in the center. The same walls held the same quiet. Yet everything seemed kinder, as though the traveler had learned how to listen to the house at its own pace. In the early evening, the rain stopped completely. Water still dripped from the eaves, but now each drop was distinct. The fountain settled back into its own voice. Clouds parted just enough for a washed, tender light to enter from the west. Marisol lit a lamp beneath the archway. Its glow gathered on the wet floor, making small golden islands among the darker tiles. The traveler stepped into the courtyard barefoot. The tiles beneath the covered walkway were cool but dry. At the edge of the open center, she touched one toe to the rainwater gathered there, then smiled at the chill of it. She walked around the fountain slowly, staying beneath the shelter when she wished, crossing little wet places when she did not mind. The orange tree released a final shower of drops when a breeze moved through it. The traveler looked up. The sky above the courtyard was no longer only gray. It had opened into pale blue, with clouds drifting like folded cloth. The first evening star had not yet appeared, but the air already carried the promise of night. She thought of the dream, of the many courtyards opening one into another, of the silver-haired woman at the loom, of the olive garden, of the blue tile with the boat beneath the moon. The images were fading, as dreams do, but the feeling remained. A quiet place inside her, a courtyard of her own. Later, Marisol prepared a simple supper. Bread rubbed with tomato and olive oil, a little bowl of lentils, slices of pear. The traveler helped set the table, and they ate as the town came back to itself after rain. Footsteps passed beyond the blue door. Someone called a greeting from the street. A bicycle bell rang. In a nearby house, a guitar was tuned slowly, string by string, until the notes were warm and low. The evening did not ask much of anyone. After supper, the traveler wrote a few lines in her notebook. Not many. She did not want to capture the day too tightly. She wrote of rain in the courtyard, of sleeping under an arch, of waking with a cat at her feet. Then she closed the notebook and let the rest remain unwritten. The house prepared for night. Marisol lowered a woven shade. She checked the latch on the blue door. She carried the cups to the kitchen. The traveler returned to her room and opened the shutters just enough to hear the fountain. The bed was turned down, the sheets cool and clean, the blanket folded at the foot. The courtyard outside had become a dim square of blue shadow. The lamp beneath the archway glowed softly. The orange tree stood still now, its leaves dark and fragrant. Every so often, a drop fell from some hidden place into the fountain, and the water answered with a small sound. The traveler lay down. The nap had not made her restless, as naps sometimes do. Instead, it had taught her body the way into sleep. Her breathing slowed almost at once. She could feel the day receding gently, not disappearing, but settling, like rainwater sinking into earth. She thought of Marisol's words. Every house has a place where the world becomes gentle. Every heart has one too. The traveler rested one hand over her chest and imagined that inner courtyard. It did not need to be large. It did not need to be perfect. It had white walls, perhaps, and a little fountain. It had room for a tree. It had a place beneath an arch where one could lie down and be safe from the rain while still hearing it fall. There, inside, everything could be set down. The folded shawl, the unopened notebook, the long road, the tiredness, the small worries with no names. One by one, they could be placed beside the fountain, where the rain would touch them softly, soften them, and make them light. Outside, the town grew quiet again. The last footsteps faded. The last door closed. The guitar in the nearby house played a few slow notes, then stopped. Night entered the courtyard completely, not as darkness alone, but as a blue and gentle presence. The traveler slept, and the courtyard kept watch. The fountain moved through the night in its patient circle. The orange tree breathed its green fragrance into the cool air. The tiles, washed clean by rain, held the faint memory of afternoon light. The house rested around the sleeping traveler, old and kind, with its beams, its walls, its hidden rooms, and all the dreams it had gathered across the years. Deeper and deeper the quiet went. The rain had ended, but its peace remained. In the listener's own room, far from that Spanish courtyard, or perhaps very near to it in the imagination, the same quiet can gather now. The breath can slow. The body can soften. The mind can drift toward its own sheltered place, where rain falls gently in the center, and all around the edges there is rest. Nothing more needs to be done tonight. The story has found its pillow. The courtyard has closed its sleepy eyes. And somewhere beneath an archway, a warm blanket waits, a fountain murmurs, and an orange tree releases the last silver drop of rain. Good night, dear traveler. Sleep well.